All right, so we finished this floor out here. We built it up to the proper height. Now in here, I still need to do a little bit of filling. Some of it is flat and some of it has a little bit of a ridge. It's about a 1/16 of an inch. Now I could sand it out or feather it out. Because I have a plywood or 1/4 inch plywood here, I don't want to sand it too much, get down into those layers. I'm just going to kind of float it. And I just to be sure, I went through and I kind of checked with my level to make sure it's not rocking, and it's not really rocking. So that's why I'm just going to float this out a little bit. So that's one area that we're going to prep. Now I want to show you something else right here. So we have a little bit of a gap here on this piece of underlayment. Some of you might run into that with plywood joints in other places. We are going to fill that. Now, vinyl plank doesn't always have to be going over a perfect floor. I could probably leave that and it wouldn't bleed, but I like to fill it. If it's an 1/8 inch or bigger, I like to fill it. And so that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I think you should do too. And we'll talk about more of that in a little bit. Now, what I really want to get to is back to this hardwood floor. I showed you this already if you watched my other video on building up this floor, but you can see that we have a hardwood floor here all throughout this house except for in the living room. There's another area where we have some ceramic tile or porcelain tile that we're going to pull up too, and I'll show that in a different video. The homeowner doesn't want this wood. They don't care about it at all. They'd rather just be done with it and not ever have to worry about it again. And I know I'm going to get comments from people, so that's why I'm bringing this up. So go ahead, like I said in the last video, bring them on. We are going to staple this 3/4 inch plywood because it has some squeaks in it. And I feel like some of it is a little loose. So we're just going to put some staples in it, some underlayment staples. So I'm going to use an underlayment stapler here with an 1.25 inch staple. Now I could go a little more than that even and use an 1.5 inches, but we're going to use an 1.25 inches here. And I'm just going to go through and I'm going to staple some of this hardwood. So I know some of you go over hardwood floors too, and if this is something that you want to do to tighten it up a little bit, it's certainly something that you can do. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep going with the stapler all throughout this hardwood, and we're going to probably put a staple every 6 to 8 inches, and that's going to really help us make sure that this floor doesn't ever have any issues in the future underneath our vinyl plank. Okay, so the biggest key to doing floor prep, any kind of floor prep whatsoever, is a clean floor. You want to make sure that you have it free of any debris. So sweep and vacuum, and then sweep again, and then sweep one more time. It's just going to be much better for you if you sweep your floor really well before you do your floor prep. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up a little bit of floor fill here. Now this is a product that you've probably heard me talk about. Called Ardex Feather Finish. Now this is a floor patch that you can use. Really like this product. It's a great product. It's been around for a lot of years. It has a lot of flexibility to it. It sticks to a lot of things, and I've never had an issue with it. It comes in a 10-pound bag, but a 10-pound bag can go a long ways. Now there is a similar product to that that's called Henry's 549. Ardex actually bought Henry's out, and so now they have the Ardex name on it. I'm not 100% if it's the same exact formula, but it is a good product. And that's something that you can find at Home Depot or Lowe's. Ardex is something that you'd have to order online. Now I like to hand mix it. And usually I do this outside. I know I'm gonna get comments about the dust, Joe, the dust, the silica dust is gonna kill you, I know. But I just hand mix it. And the key to this with mixing this is if you are mixing this and you use a drill, you want to use it on really low speed. I don't like to use a drill because it will make the stuff set up faster. Also, you want to make sure that you're using cool water and not warm water. It must be cool. It doesn't take much to mix, but you can kind of see how creamy it's getting already. I'm gonna mix this up for a little bit more and then we'll get it on the floor. So there is instructions on the bag on how to mix this. So you can definitely go by that. I'm just gonna spread it. And you can even finish mixing it on the floor if there's still chunks in it. It gets creamy pretty quick. But you can see it's not really runny, it's a little thicker. And again, like I said, for me, it's not much of a dip here, it's just a little bit, like a 1/16 of an inch. So we are not trying to go out too far. But if you had something that was a little bit more drastic than that, you could feather it out here a little bit more. And you could use like a 2x4, 4-foot level, some kind of a straight board. Now you're never gonna make it perfect the first coat. If you have to do more than one, I'm only gonna do one here. Because again, like I said, I don't have that thick of a coat here, or that big of a ridge there. It's only a 1/16 of an inch. Now I probably will come back because I have this funky thing that I'm dealing with. And I'm just gonna actually shim it up. And get my trowel in there. Look at that, I still got something, we missed something. So that's how you would feather something out. And again, like I said, if you need to come out farther because you have a deeper one, you can definitely do that. Now you can see how I feathered this way, but then I got this little jog in the wall, so I want to make sure I come over here and fill some of this in too. And if you can't make it perfect on the first coat, I'm gonna keep stressing that. Don't worry about it. Come and do a second. All right, I wanna show you. So this right here is something that I would just fill, like I said. Just come across it. What you're trying to do is just fill the void. You're not trying to build up the floor here and create a hump. So just scrape it off real good and on gaps like that. We have another gap right here. So real easy. Now I want to show you something else here. I always go around the floor looking for dips. Well, in here I'm perfectly flat. I just move my level around and check for dips or humps in the floor. But like right over here, you can see, I'm going to turn this light on. All right, So what I like to do here is I'll come and I'll find where it's flat and there's no void whatsoever. And I have to get down. Now I have a little bit of a gap right there, if you can see that. So you see how right here, there's a dip, and right here there's a dip. Kind of hard to tell. Now this is pretty minute, so I'm not going to get too crazy here. But I just want to see, so I drew a line where that dip was started on each side. And then I want to keep figuring out wherever it ends. Once I know where it ends, I come straight across. Now you can see that dip is right here. And then over here, it starts to go towards the fireplace. So it like works its way this way. So I make a line here. Now that dip starts to come in right here. And then right here, now it's completely gone. Okay, so I know right here, this is where I need to fill in this dip. And so I'm gonna show you how to do that right now. Now that dip was about 1/8 of an inch. And so what I like to do is I like to use notch trowels, okay? Now this is a trowel system that I use where you buy the handle and then you can buy the different blades. I'll leave a link for you for that in the description. I'm going to use a 3/16 by 3/16 notch trowel. I'm going to use that to fill in this where that void is. And then we're going to screed it. So I'm just going to take my trowel first. The area, now this has been about 10 minutes, this stuff's starting to harden up on me a little. I'm going to burn this into the floor at the flat side. The flat side of the trowel. Just so that I get good bond, good contact. All throughout this dip. Okay, now I'm going to take the notch and I'm going to notch in this area with this 3/16. Now I could have maybe even went the 1/4, which would have made me leave more fill down on the floor, and I would just be scraping more off as well. Don't be afraid to go over your lines, it's just as a guide. Okay. Now usually you want to have a scrap board. So usually now you want to have a scrap board. I'm just going to show you at my level and then I'm going to run outside and clean it off with the hose. I'm just going to screed it right over this. Now you can see that maybe this is deeper than I thought. You can see how it flattened some of it and how some of it didn't. I got some on here. So I could just leave it like that and then do another layer of fill, but I'm going to show you, I'm going to notch up. Okay, so I'm going to use a bigger notch here, 1/4 inch. That 3/16 wasn't working. This is actually probably a little small too. So this is a 1/4 by 1/4 trowel. So now I'm going to take my level again and I'm going to screed. You can see how I'm getting the notch now this time. So now this might not be a one-time fill. This might be a 2-time fill. Now you could either just leave this sit here, or you could take a flat trowel. Now a lot of times it's not good to play around with this fill. So I'm just gonna go through and I'm gonna smooth out the edges. So that I know that I'm not causing more humps. Now I'll wait for this to dry and then we'll check it with the level again, make sure what more we need to fill, and then we'll put a second coat over the top of this. All right, it's still a little wet, but if I touch it, it's hard. So I like to try to smooth it over a little bit before then, or if you have any ridges, you could scrape off then. But you don't want to wreck it either. So don't get, I'm just mainly looking to see if I need another coat, and you can see I'm looking, and I'm looking pretty flat now. I'm not seeing daylight anymore. So I'm just gonna smooth this over one more time. Now it doesn't have to be perfect because you are going over it with plank. So it doesn't, if it was a vinyl floor that we were doing, an actual vinyl floor, then you'd want to have it as smooth as a baby's butt, but so I'm just gonna go over this one more time. Just adding a little bit more as I go here. Not trying to create any humps. Okay. All right, so that's about it on the floor prep. Now, if you have deeper things that you're gonna be doing floor prep with, I would use thin set. I personally do not like self-leveler. I've seen it fail too many times. It's easy to get away from you while you're trying to do it. It's just not as easy as people make it seem like it is. Now, this is over a wood subfloor, so the Ardex dries a little quicker. If this was on concrete, or if this was a cold day or a humid day, it wouldn't dry as quick. So just keep that in mind. The drying time does vary depending on where you're at. If you use hot water, it's not gonna mix very good for you. Now, we had a little bit of warmer water here and it actually made it mix up a little, not as creamy as I like it, but if you use cool water, it's gonna mix up good. And then again, don't use a drill, just mix up small batches. You don't wanna mix up an entire bag at one time. The most I do usually is a half a bag, unless I know I'm gonna use it all within a few minutes. I would never recommend mixing up a full bag. Okay, I just wanna talk to you a little bit more about this. Now I know I've been installing for, well, 30 years now, guys. And I make the floor prep look easy. I make the trowel look easy, right? Look, it's all in the wrist, guys. It's all in the wrist. Just take your time and don't try to put too much on at one time and you're gonna be fine. Do 3, 4, 5 coats if you have to. Don't mix up more fill than what you're gonna need. And I just wanna pray for you that, well, God gives you the skill and the confidence that you're gonna need to be able to do your floor prep. Now, I know you can do this and I'm praying that you're gonna be able to do this for you too. I also wanna pray for you and for your family. And I pray that God showers you and your family with his never-ending, amazing grace. And I pray for this in Jesus' name. Hey, I'm Joe Latender. I Would really appreciate it if you hit the like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of my videos, and hit that bell if you want to be notified for when they come out. Again, I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you watching. Have a great day.